All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me in this live class on natural treatments for belly fat. My name is Khabir Southwick, Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic herbal pharmacist, and the founder of Herb Teas, the sponsor of today's event. So, today's subject on belly fat is about people who have only belly fat. If you are obese and, 60 pounds overweight, which is not quite your subject. Of course, when somebody is obese, you can see the fat underneath their chin. You can see fat underneath the arms, and they're going to have more round shape, round body, even round face with fat everywhere. But today we're just talking, and that would, be overweight. And there's many causes of being overweight. But today we're talking about just the belly. It means the face is thin, the fingers are thin, the legs are thin, and then you've got this belly. Just the belly. That's what we're talking about today. So we're gonna cover the causes. There are causes. You have to identify the cause first. And then two, we'll talk about some dietary causes and changes that you can make. And then three, we have some herbal remedies that are specific just for the belly fat. Okay. So, again, we're not talking about somebody who's overweight everywhere because there are more causes to that. But, many people went to the gym before they were my client. They worked out, sometimes months, even years, and got a trainer. Then they tried, fasting, juicing, and they still had this belly and they couldn't figure out what it is. That's because, same with overweight. You can't just go to the gym and think your weight's going to drop if you don't know why you have the weight in the first place. You have to know why you have the weight, why you have the belly fat, and then you got to get rid of those causes first, because 9 out of 10, you're causing it with your diet and your eating habits, and there's a lot of overlap between the two. But there are more causes for being overweight, and of course, it can take much longer to be overweight than just get a little belly. So and of course, people can have both. They can be overweight, plus they've got this big belly. One of the biggest causes is just constipation, or we could say digestion. If you get a lot of gas and bloating and you're constipated, which would include just maybe going to bowel movement once a day and sometimes skipping a day, it doesn't sound too terrible. But if it's been going on 20, 30 years, you've accumulated your fair share, or let's just say extra belly fat. Well, it's fecal matter accumulating inside of your colon. And so it's why, people do enemas and colon cleanses and things to get that out. And of course, if you talk to somebody who's done autopsies, they'll tell you most people have, particularly overweight people, have a lot of fecal matter in their belly, pounds of it sometimes, 5-10 pounds for a big man. And so, you're carrying this around, and all along, it appears to be fat. So, and in many cases like that, where I just determined the person had gas, bloating, and constipation. And when I gave them the herbs, by the next appointment, 1 month later, they said, "Oh, the belly dropped in the first week." Well, you don't lose, weight that fast. That is the constipation. Even overweight people are constipated. I'll give them some pretty strong colon herbs in the beginning, and they'll even say, in the first week, I dropped 5 pounds, 8 pounds, 10 pounds. Well, you don't lose weight that fast. You just probably some water retention. You can also, if you have a lot of water and swelling, this is another cause. But here is often just constipation. So, and then the other one, which is kind of connected, they often go hand in hand, is just bloating. I remember a young lady in her 20s who showed me her belly, and she said, "You see that?" And I go, "Yeah, you look bloated." She goes, "Yeah, but I look pregnant." She was very upset. She was very feisty about the whole thing. And that's why she was doing the appointment, because she said she looked pregnant. She said it's hard to meet men when you look pregnant, unquote. Well, you know, I it was all digestion, all bloating. She wasn't even constipated. She's just bloated all the time. Now that's usually a giveaway because the bloating will go down in the evening and by the morning. And once they start eating again in the morning, the bloating comes up and can sometimes stay all day long. So they look bloated all the time. And these people, and not knowing what else to do, sometimes just fast and don't eat. But obviously, you need nutrients and you can get pretty tired and weak not eating. You're only going to go so long with that. In this particular woman's case, young lady's case, it was her smoothie. She was combining fruits, vegetables, goji powder, a manuka honey. Now if she was around, she'd be throwing in mushrooms, but this was before the mushroom fad, and blending it all up with some raw kale and having it every morning. And this was bloating her all day long. But she didn't eat much because she was so bloated from her smoothie that it kind of took away her appetite. And, she thought that was a good thing, but, it wasn't. So I've had people say just taking these strawberries off of their cereal stop their bloating. Well, all traditional systems of healthcare, Chinese, and we could say the ancient Greeks, Hippocrates, and Ayurveda, say never combine fruit with your meal. It creates bloating. Well, there's still people doing it. And when I do the follow-up, I'll always say, well, how's the gas and bloating? Because I give them all these digestive rules, and they follow the rules. And sometimes, and they'll say the bloating went away in a matter of days, just changing the food they were eating. So a lot of people are just like the girl eating the smoothie. She just stopped throwing everything in one big blender and blending it up. It was healthy because everything she put in was healthy. The problem was the food combining. So we'll say that's another big cause. I'd say over half of my clients, at least if they have bloating, if they say they have bloating, 100% they have poor food combining. So it's an easy fix. It's just knowledge. And there's a bunch of little rules for food combining. But for people with a belly, it's pretty common. It's usually the gas, the bloating, and the constipation all together. Like the belly's there, it's not going down. It just gets bigger every time they eat. So, and they're constipated, not going on a bowel movement every day. So this is, the reason. Now, of course, that can all be traced back to, again, poor food combining, poor eating habits, wrong foods, etc. Another cause, which is in this category of wrong eating habits, but the most common that I see is snacking on nuts. Yeah, that's right. See, somehow people got in their head nuts are healthy. Well, I never said they weren't healthy, but the problem is they snack on them all day long. So they're snacking on the nuts or the granola bars or the trail mix, but nuts is the typical one. I mean, you get some people snacking on chips. That'd do it too, just eating bags of chips. You could eat, I know some men in particular, wives cooking great meals all the time, but this guy is eating chips. The guy's eating chips at night, chips in between, and the wife knows that's why he has a belly. She said, well, I give him good food, but then he eats chips all the time with him and his friend. And then of course the next cause would be alcohol. So he's eating great because wife's cooking good, and then having chips and beer. So now he's got this big beer belly. So beer being yeast and fermented, this can also create the old beer belly. You can also have liver belly, and that's where there's water in the abdominal cavity from the liver. And of course, now everybody's on Zoom who does appointments with me. But the days when I had the clinic, I could tap on the belly of these guys. It's, tap on it. And it wasn't bouncy fat. It was like a big water bottle, big water, or just a bouncy, So, fat's a little harder. It's not so liquidy feeling. Feel like you're swishing around. So that often, and they're heavy drinkers, or at least been drinking for a long time. Nobody will really tell you how much they drink. Oh, not too much, just a couple beers. Well, what about in his 20s? If he's 50 now, he's just having a couple beers. He's probably improved since his party days. We all had our party days in 20s, so I figure whatever people are doing in their 50s times 3 when they were in their party days. So, years of drinking. So, and drinking, snacking on chips, beer in particular, snacking on nuts, all these things combined. So if you're a big drinker, you could be snacking on nuts, having chips, drinking beer, and this could be a reason for your big belly. You can see men, they have skinny little legs, everything looks thin, they got this big belly. So this is the bottom line. So going to the gym necessarily won't help this belly because you're still drinking. You have to, or you're still snacking on the chips, you're still snacking on the nuts. I've had many women tell me just stop snacking on the nuts. And by the time they did the follow up, so I give them the advice, and then 1 month later, 6 weeks later or so, they're doing the follow up. And, I have my notes. I know why they wanted to do the appointment. And sometimes it's just the belly fat, or that's one of the key points. I mean, nobody really wants this big belly. And they say, yeah, I stopped snacking on nuts and it went down in a couple weeks. I think it was the nuts. So a lot of people did say that, the nuts, it's just not a good idea to be snacking all the time like this on nuts, crackers, cookies, chips. And then I did mention bread, just eating a lot of bread. Like we got in India, we have chapati belly, where you get the big belly from eating the chapatis. But the chapati is using white bread. So you're having imagine having 5, 6 pieces of white bread 2, 3 times a day with every meal. That'd give you a belly. So we could say excess grains, but in this case, we're really talking white bread, processed grains. So people like to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like all dairy's bad, and all grains are bad. We just kind of panic and throw them all out. And really, it's mostly the processed flours that are really bad. If you're not overweight, there's nothing wrong with having your wheat. Now, wheat is of all the grains, wheat and oats are the most weight gaining, and but the processed ones can give you the belly and put the weight on is faster than, say, whole grains. Having some whole wheat bread with your omelet in the morning isn't going to put a belly on you. But having, like the Indians do, 3 chapatis for breakfast, 3 or 4 more chapatis for lunch, and maybe 6 for dinner, this will put a belly on you. And so we can definitely see the chapati belly in India. So we got grains, we got alcohol, we got beer, we got snacking on nuts and crackers, constipation, gas, bloating, food combining. These are the possibilities. Of course, if you're my patient, then, I figure out which of those is you, and then we go over those, and I give you all the rules for digestion, and we change your diet. Another one is just, eating the wrong foods for your type, because unfortunately, people don't really listen to their body anymore. They're listening to social media. And so they'll watch somebody online and hear something, and then they follow them. I saw, as a medical doctor, I follow, who talks about adverse effects of medications and medical treatments. That's what she's talking about. So I find this quite fascinating. And she was saying, "Oh, I really dislike it when I give somebody advice," and she's misresearched all this research and everything. Everything she says is all backed by research. She says, "That really irks me when somebody says, well, my friend, he did this and it worked." I feel the same way. I mean, quoting your friend, who I don't know, who I haven't met, who I don't know what was eating, what was going on, isn't exactly evidence. Even you don't have enough information by what your friend did. So, and sometimes it's even my friend's friend, so this is not valid information. You have to get your information from a valid source. This particular woman she's kind of a researcher. pragmatic researcher. But I just want to say I don't really research, and I'm not providing you with research and footnotes. I'm just telling you from my experience. I'm not saying I know everything about the subject, but I am, after thousands of patients, this is what I've seen. This is my experience. And then, of course, how I reversed it. Reversed it was getting rid of the causes. So you have to identify these causes to be able to get rid of them. But let's see here. We could take a look. And of course, you don't want to eat too many grains. You don't want to snack. We kind of talked about that. Let's see here if we take a look at this product here. We've got a product called, well, these are all weight loss products. If you go on Herban Teas, you can see under weight loss. We have a lot of weight loss products. And we've got one here. We got a package, a weight loss package, weight loss tea. That's got caffeine in it. But here, let me show you this one, Slimming Detox. This one is not bad for belly fat because it's got the, it's kind of like a detox, so it's going to get the water out of you. It's going to flush the colon. It's got some laxatives in it. And it's also has some diuretics in there. Burdock root, dandelion. It's going to treat the liver, the colon, and the kidneys, just like it says right there. And it's going to clean them out. So it's going to get your bowels moving. It's got a little senna, carsata sagrada in there for that. It's going to help with the liver because it's got the burdock root, and I don't see, where's the dandelion? There's the dandelion root and leaf in there. And then it's got some kidney herbs. Going to flush out the kidneys. The juniper berry is a diuretic. That's going to flush you out. And Garcinia is kind of for weight loss. So that's going to help. And this is all going to kind of flush you out. So that's a good start if you got water retention plus a little constipation. The Slimming Detox Tea, it's just, you don't need to take it forever. It's just kind of like it says, supercharge your weight loss. And you can go read about the herbs there. But here's the one I wanted to show you. That is the belly fat formula. And here it's using guggulu resin. Guggulu is the Triphala, Bipitaki, Haditaki, the first three ingredients. That is Triphala, and that's like a cleanse. And then the next one is guggulu. So there's a name of this formula in Ayurveda, and it's called Triphala guggulu, and that's what this formula is called, Triphala guggulu. And pushkarmu, this also is a weight loss herb that's helping with flushing out the colon. Kuktis for the liver. It's a very strong liver herb. And then we have turkatu, which means 3 spices. It's got ginger, black pepper, and sweet pepper. So it's a pretty strong formula. You feel it. I mean, some people said, wow, I feel some gurgling, some intestinal discomfort, but that's because it has to be strong. It says right there, it's a powerful formula for stubborn belly fat by detoxifying the system, improving digestion, and boosting metabolism, and improving liver function. And I failed to mention another cause of belly fat is just poor digestion, which often comes from snacking too much. Of course, there's other products up there like weight loss formula, particularly if there's this, we have different weight loss formulas, but this one is for weight loss with swelling, water retention. So if you're going to go pick a weight loss formula up here, do note there's different ones. You should be reading about them. That one is for swelling. This is appetite control for snacking. This is one for somebody who has excess body heat. There's the belly fat one. Here's the meal replacement formula, blood sugar formula, insulin dependent formula, underactive thyroid, hypothyroid formula. So, there's different um, formulas and different products for different, you know, causes of o- being overweight and belly fat. So I hope that helped you out. Let's review there. Make sure you have good eating habits and no bloating, no gas, no constipation, and stop the snacking. And then take the belly fat formula after each meal. All right. I hope that helps you out. Hope that give you some hope to get rid of your belly fat. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.